and welcome to another episode of Foundation Friday. I'm your host, JD, and with me, as always, is Chris Robinson. It's never been anybody else. I don't know why I would even say that. Chris Robinson, everybody.
Well, how about it's always different and always a treat?
There you go.
We'll call it that.
I like that. Always looking at the positive side of things. That's what I like about you, Chris.
Glass is half full over here. Yeah, we got a full episode today. We're going to start talking about our next grant cycle that's opening. You know, what different organizations need to know when they want to apply. And then we'll look at a couple big moments from last year, from 2025, that happened right here in Louisville with the Humana Foundation. And at the end, we'll talk about our double match day coming up for this year and how employees can make their donations go even further.
Grants, local work, giving back, a partridge in a pear tree. I love it. So let's start with the big news. The Humana Foundation is opening a new grant cycle.
That's right. And later in the show, we'll have our director of strategy, Keni Winchester, hop on and go over this a little bit more in depth. She's definitely the expert on this area, but just kind of high level information. Each year we do a grant cycle, and the 2026 grant cycle opened on Tuesday, January 20th. It's something we do every year, and it's a big part of how we support communities with the overall focus here of advancing health equity and, helping people in underserved communities live healthier lives.
Once that opens, how long do people have to apply?
It's open for about a month. The cycle stays open until Friday, February 20th, and it closes at noon Eastern time. So it's a good idea to plan ahead and really just leave time to finish your application before the deadline closes.
Well, like you said, Keni Winchester is going to be in a little bit to talk about this at greater length, but just high level, who should be thinking about applying?
Yeah, so we're looking for nonprofits, nonprofit organizations that work on mental health or nutritional health or both, with programs for school-aged kids, seniors, or military veterans. And then we focus all that work on Florida, Louisiana, here in Louisville, and in Texas.
I feel like that lines up perfectly with the Foundation's mission.
Yeah, exactly. The Foundation works to help people live healthier lives. We focus a lot on kids and seniors and veterans, and basically how to help people stay connected, get the care, and then get the support that they need.
And the Foundation puts real money behind that work.
We do. Yes, sir, we do. In 2025, the Foundation invested more than $12 million through a series of grants supporting health equity. And that money went to groups working on things, like I said before, like mental health, like food access, and really just helping people feel less alone.
Without getting too into the weeds, can you tell me why this is so important right now?
Yeah, I mean, the needs are significant. Food insecurity really impacts millions of people across the country. And at the same time, access to mental health services remains a big challenge, especially in underserved communities, where the rates of untreated mental illness are actually higher. And these grants help the different organizations step in and fill those gaps.
So let's say I've got JD's Charitable Foundation and I want to apply. Where do I start?
Well, you can send JD's Charitable Organization. I've heard good things about them. You can tell them to go to our online grant portal. If you go to humanafoundation.org, there's a link in the top right corner of the homepage. It takes you right to it. We also have a bunch of tools on our website to help. We want to make this just as easy as possible for organizations looking to submit an application. So we have things like a webinar, we have a sample application, and then an FAQ with common questions. And then, of course, if people want to get more information, they can send us an email at humanafoundation@humana.com.
Sounds like great chance for groups doing good work.
And it really is. And we're always excited to see the ideas that people bring forward. So we'll keep an eye peeled for your application as well there, JD.
I'll get right on that. As excited as we all are to move into 2026, new baseball season, new football season, can we talk about 2025 real quick? I feel like that was a strong year for the Foundation.
Yeah, 2025 was great for us. And a big part of that is because of the work happening right here in our hometown of Louisville. It's where the Foundation started, and we're proud to keep showing up for the community that really shaped who we are.
Tell me about the new Health and Wellbeing Center at Junior Achievement. I feel like that was a big thing.
Yeah, it was a great one for us last year. We opened a new space over at the JA Finance Park, and it focused on mental health for students. So really right in our focus areas, right in our wheelhouse. It was a big milestone. It was an opening of a new facility, and really just a great example of what strong partnerships can make possible.
What do they do there?
So middle and high school students go through that area as part of their visit to JA Finance Park. Almost 10,000 kids a year will tour it and learn each year. And while they're there, the students will learn what mental health is, how to take care of themselves, and then where to get help if they need it. It shows that mental health connects to everyday life across the board. School, that also talks about financial literacy as part of the Finance Park curriculum there, and then it also touches on career planning.
Financial literacy, career planning, and mental health, not really things that kids learn about early on.
Yeah, exactly. So this really helps start talking about that sooner. It helps make mental health feel normal and makes it feel like it's okay to talk about it, because it is. And we've worked with some really great partners to make it happen. So I want to give a shout out to Junior Achievement, the Jewish Heritage Fund, and then the University of Louisville's Christina Lee Brown Envirom Institute. Altogether, they really help bring that vision to life.
Well, one of my favorite things in Louisville is Waterfront Park, and I hear there was a big local moment right over there.
Yeah, just right across the street, like you said. And this one meant a lot to us. Waterfront Park really has always been Louisville's, we like to call it our shared front porch. Last year, we helped restore the overlook, and that's really one of the oldest and most iconic parts of the.
And that space has been there for a little while, right?
It's been there over 25 years, and the space, unfortunately, really needed some care. So the foundation gave $600,000 to fully restore it. Now there's new grass, new trees, there's better seating, and really just a central area where people can gather.
And it helps the environment.
It does. The updates help things with heat, air quality, and water runoff. And really, but at the end of the day, it was really just supporting the overlook is about preserving a place where people can come together, people can gather, they can celebrate and feel connected now, today, and also with the restoration for generations to come.
Every time you and I have one of these discussions, I learn more and more about what the foundation does and how far reaching it is. It feels like the foundation's role in the city is significant.
Yeah, it is. And whether it's helping kids learn about mental health over at JA Finance Park or keeping shared spaces strong, like the Overlook, it's just about supporting the community that we call home. We're proud to keep investing in our hometown and to keep building alongside the community that's been home to us from the very beginning.
All good stuff. But let's switch gears a little bit because I know this is something you're really passionate about. You and I talk about it quite often. Double Match Day is coming up.
That's right. Yep. And it's coming up on April 14th. This is for employees here at Humana in Centerwell, and it's one of the biggest giving days of the year for us.
If you could, without getting too detailed, explain what Double Match Day is and how it works.
Yeah. So normally as part of the Humana Foundation's matching program, when Humana employees give to an eligible nonprofit, the foundation matches that donation dollar for dollar throughout the year, up to $1,000 each year. But on Double Match Day, we actually double the matching, so $2 for every dollar.
So what does that mean in real terms?
Yeah, so on Double Match Day, like it says, the foundation doubles the match. So going even at a bigger scale here, if an employee donates $100 to an eligible nonprofit that day, we'll contribute $200, which together, simple math here, it creates a total impact of $300 going to causes that employees really care about.
And that adds up fast.
Yeah, it sure does. And in 2024, matching gifts added up to $4.5 million. And in 2023, it was just under $4 million. So every year, employees here were just blown away. They just step up in such a big way, and we're happy to support them.
So April 14th is the day to remember.
It is the day to remember. That's right. It's a great opportunity for employees to maximize their impact and support nonprofits doing important work to help communities across the country.
Chris, that sounds like a powerful way to get the year going.
Yep, it definitely is. Double Match Day coming up. It captures the spirit of generosity that we see from our employees all year long and really doubles the impact there on one day. And it's just something that we're always proud to support.
That's going to do it for today with Chris Robinson. We talked about the next grant cycle, some big moments here in Louisville, and what's coming up at Double Match Day.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be a big year. It all comes back to helping people and supporting communities. That's what we're about at the heart of the foundation. Again, whether it's through local grants, through projects, or employee giving.
Well, Chris, thanks for breaking it all down.
Sir, appreciate you having me on.
Now I want to switch gears and welcome our very esteemed guest into the studio, Keni Winchester. How are you?
Hi, JD. I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me.
It is so great to have you here. I can't wait to get into this discussion. So without further ado, let's get right down to it. Can you tell me a little bit about your role at the Humana Foundation and how long you've been here?
Of course. Well, I've been with Humana since 2020, and I joined the foundation in 2022. And my role at the Humana Foundation is to basically develop our grant-making strategy, where we will invest, how we will invest, the focus populations that we think are most important, and then work with our CEO and our whole grant-making team to ensure that we basically create grants and award dollars into community that do good.
Sounds like very nuanced work. So I'm curious, can you tell me a little bit about your background and that led you to this role?
Of course. I actually do not have a background in philanthropy, but I do have a background in systems change work. And so I've worked in defense, I've worked in healthcare, I've worked in higher education, nonprofit, and also in local government. And all of those things are what allow me to see where systems break and how people get lost inside of a system. And so I found my way to philanthropy just for that reason, because I'm able to kind of look at how a community member may benefit or may lose out when we're not working together properly. And those gaps are what allow people to really have needs.
It sounds like this work is really important to you. So I'd like to channel Simon Sinek if I could and ask you, what's your why for this?
Yeah. So several years ago, I was married at the time, and my ex-husband was diagnosed with an extremely rare form of cancer, had to have a stem cell transplant. During that time, he could not work for several months, and I was new to my job, and so I could not take FMLA. And we were lost in a huge healthcare system, had to pay our bills. We had children to take care of, all of those different things. And learning how to navigate the nonprofit world, community resources, government resources were all extremely important for me. And that became really enlightening. And that is how I ventured into my first nonprofit work.
For people who may not know, can you tell us more about what the Humana Foundation does?
Sure. So we are the grant-making arm of Humana. So we are our own nonprofit organization, and we report to our CEO, Tiffany Benjamin. And basically, the work that we do is for the good of the larger community. So we make grants in places that we see needs around nutrition and mental health. And this is so that communities can thrive and individuals can lead better, healthier, stronger lives.
Can you tell me what the main focuses are of your grant making?
Of course. We focus on mental health and nutrition, primarily around seniors, school-aged children, kindergarten through 12th grade, and veterans. The bulk of our grant making happens in Louisville, Kentucky, Florida, Louisiana, and Texas.
How does this yearly grant cycle work?
Sure. So we have one open application grant cycle per year. And in fact, we just opened that cycle this past Tuesday, January 20th. It will stay open for 5 weeks through February 20th. And what happens is this application is open to any qualifying nonprofit organization. So if a nonprofit organization is interested in partnering with Humana, they can go out to our website, look at our grant application, determine if they're aligned with our grant-making priorities. So are they focused on mental health? Are they focused on nutrition? Are they serving our populations? And if they do, they complete an application. We receive an overwhelming number of applications each year, but we do read every single application and look for alignment that fits with our strategy. So we encourage any organization that thinks that they are well aligned to apply.
Are there any key dates for this year's grant cycle?
Yes, of course. So January 20th is when the cycle opened, and applications must be in by February 20th. But don't worry, if you miss the open application cycle, it's a great time to begin reaching out to us or looking at our website and preparing for next year's cycle, which will open around the same time.
Are there specific kinds of applications or projects that you guys are looking into?
Right. So we look at all kinds of applications. And so I wouldn't say that there's a specific kind that's not a science. But what we are looking for are programs that serve the population, so kindergarten, seniors, veterans, and kindergarten through 12th grade. We're looking for programs that impact those populations, that have the ability to measure how they're impacting those programs. So are we seeing a change in how a community or an individual is making progress in social isolation, for example? And then are they able to scale those programs? So maybe you serve 50 today, but you're able to serve 1,000 next year. So we're looking for really good programs that do really great work with the opportunity to scale and are doing mental health and nutrition work.
Okay. Can you walk us through the basic steps of the application process?
Yes. So our application has been redesigned in recent years to make it easy for a nonprofit organization to apply. So if nonprofits out there are looking for an overwhelming process, it won't be. We have 2 phases to the application. So the first phase actually happens between January 20th and February 20th. It's very short. It's designed for an organization to be able to complete the application within an hour. And so in that hour, they're going to tell us just the basics about what they're hoping to do, their organization, who they're serving, the elements of their program and how their program works. And then they're going to give us an idea of how much funding they would like. The application will close. And at that time, we'll review all of the applications that we get. If we're interested in your application, you'll be moved to phase 2. And that's where we get into the more in-depth information. It's a little harder to complete that. But it allows just the organizations that we're most interested in and have the best chance for funding in that application cycle to get to phase 2. That way you don't have to do an enormous amount of work completing an application that may not get funded. So 2 phases, and then we will announce those awards later in the year.
Making it easy on the front end is makes it so a lot more people feel like, okay, I can do this. It's not that hard.
That's our hope. We want an organization to feel like we are approachable. And we actually put a lot of information on our website to make organizations understand what we fund and how we fund. It's transparent. Our goal is to be equitable and let every organization understand how to apply. So we've done some things. If you go out to our website and click on Apply Now, on that landing page, an organization can find a webinar that talks about what we fund, how we measure our grants, opportunities for funding. Anything that you would want to know about the foundation is there. They can see a sample application, frequently asked questions, all of that before they ever even apply.
All right, so let's say I've got my own nonprofit. I'm listening to this right now. You've got my interest peaked. Now I want to get into the application process. Is there anything I should know before I apply?
So what you should know is to use the resources available to you. So go out, peruse our website, read what our grants are about, maybe look at some of the previous grants that we funded and see overviews of them. And then again, what they would do is go to humanafoundation.org, click on Apply, and right there at the landing page are all of the resources. So they can access the webinar, the FAQs, and even, a sample application. Once they create an account and apply, it's okay to start an application and not finish it. So that won't be counted against you. If you feel like you're not ready, you can wait and try again next year. And what I will say to everyone is if you don't get funded in an application cycle, it's not a flat out no. It could just mean not right now. It's a very competitive process. So we encourage you to apply and apply again. We will consider every application. That's our job.
I was going to ask you a follow-up. So if I apply this year and I don't get funded for whatever reason, do I need to apply again next year, or does my application stay?
You will need to apply again next year. That's a good thing because it allows you to make some tweaks, right? We do give every application a response. Might be a general response if you're declined, but if you get far enough along in the process, you'll get a little more nuanced information about what you can do to make your application more viable the next go round.
Okay. So why should I consider applying for one of these grants with the Humana Foundation?
So I think that anyone should apply because we really believe that the work that we do is a partnership. We are not an organization that tells you how to do your work. We believe that organizations that are close to those communities know what the communities need. And it's our job to provide funding that helps accelerate the growth of a community and accelerate the purpose of that organization. So that's why I think we're great partners.
I get the feeling, based on this discussion you and I are having, that the work that you do is very, very important to you. So with that in mind, what makes you excited about supporting nonprofits and their projects?
So we are in a really, really tough time right now, environmentally, socially, justice-wise. There's so much going on. Philanthropy can't fill every gap, but when there's an opportunity for us to partner with a nonprofit organization that we think is doing good work, we like to be able to do that and allow that nonprofit the ability to do more with the dollars that they get. And our job really is to amplify the organization and the work that they do.
Okay. Throughout this process, it's standard or expected that somebody's going to have questions. How can they get those questions answered?
So they can email us at humanafoundation@humana.com. We respond to every email that comes through that mailbox. I get probably several dozen sometimes our team gets, but we respond to every single one and we're happy to answer that question. There's a whole team that's powering the Humana Foundation and we will get the answer that you need.
Okay. If you're just now joining us, we're speaking with Keni Winchester from the Humana Foundation. We're talking all about the grant cycle today. So at the beginning of this podcast, you mentioned some dates. So can you go over those main dates one more time and the types of projects you fund?
Sure. So for 2026, the grant cycle opened on January 20th and will close on February 20th. We are looking for proposals that focus on mental health or nutrition or both, and are for seniors, kindergarten through 12th grade, or veterans. And again, most of that work will happen in Louisville, Kentucky, Florida, Louisiana, or Texas. But if an organization misses that grant opportunity and the opportunity to apply, this year's a great time to be looking at some of the grants that we do fund so that they can get ready for next year's application.
Okay, great. If I want some more information, obviously the website is a good place to look. Is there anybody specific I can contact or should contact?
Sure. You can reach out to us at Humana Foundation at humana.org. And there's a team of individuals that are looking at those emails every day. We're happy to answer any question that you have about our grant cycle.
All right. Well, we're reaching the end of this, but I didn't want to get past talking with you, this opportunity, before I get to see what's stuck with you or what's been your passion project.
Oh, wow. We have a project with Older Adult Technology Services, which is a subsidiary of AARP. And the reason why I like that grant is because it is based on a real life example of a Humana employee. If she's listening, her name is Candace. And I listened to Candace one day talk about the difficulty that she was having as a caregiver with an aging family member. And so with Oats, we were able to design a grant for people like Candace. It helps them recognize the individuals that need caregivers, recognize the symptoms in older adults when they are socially isolated or lonely, and help connect them to resources. And so what I like about that project is that we can see work and we can see the examples every day around us, and it's tangible. People know it. They can see it every day, and they know how we're working in community.
I love hearing stories like that, people that work at Humana. So any final words of encouragement or for organizations to think about while they're applying?
Yeah, I would say go out and look at the resources on our website. Remember, click on that apply button. Everything that you need to know is there. Watch the webinars. We try to be as transparent as possible. I would say, and everyone has a chance. Do not count yourself out. Apply, we will read it. And if we have questions, we'll reach out to you. And then finally, if it's a no, it's not a no. It's a not right now. So keep trying.
I love that. It's not a no, it's a not right now. Keni Winchester, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. And thank you for listening to another edition of Foundation Friday with the Humana Foundation.